Hello and welcome to Tricks of the Straight channel. Today is the 16th of October 2017, and today we're featuring someone who's been a stalwart in the athletic organizations or the athletic world. The name is Joyner Kersee. Okay, we're gonna put up Joyner Kersee to the test and see if she stands up to the test that she's claimed that she's been a woman and that she's been presented to us by the media, which is owned by the Vatican, that she's one of the greatest female athletes of all time. So we're going to take a look at Joyner Kersee and see if that is actually true or not. Now, before I get on into the video, I want to thank especially a subscriber of ours whose name is PawQ321 for bringing this to our attention. And I want to tell that she's doing a fine job of learning, and I hope that she keeps on educating herself and learning and getting to know much more about our world. I want to thank you so much, PawQ321, for that. So if it's your first time on the channel and you heard all this and you want to keep on watching the video, I would advise that you pause the video right here and go look for the primer video. Without you watching the primer video, a lot of the things that I'm saying is not going to make any sense to you. You're going to have so many unanswered questions, and you're going to be wondering, okay, what is this about? Why is this happening? Or what is it really? So I'm going to point you to the primer video first, which I recommend that you watch before you watch this video. When you're done with the primer video, then you can come back and continue watching this video. So let me point you in that direction right now. So the primer video is going to be the oldest video that you watch on this particular channel. So when you look at the playlist, or you go to the video list, you'll look for a video that's called primer. All right, there's also a playlist for it, so to make it very easy for you to have access, you can just look for the playlist called primer on the channel. Now when you click on this particular video, or when you watch the video, all right, any video that you take up on this channel, there is a description section. All right, and in the description section there is a link. This link is going to take you to a document that's called Male versus Female Visual Differences. We advise that you get this document because this document is going to show you the visual differences between male and female, so that you can be able to spot or do a transvestigation on your own without actually asking us to take a look at someone for you. It's not rocket science. It's very, very simple. So the document is about 44 pages long, but we guarantee you that it's going to take you 30 minutes or less to go through it. It just has a lot of pictures to show you the visual differences between male and female, so you can be able to do that on your own. Because even though we feature a lot of transgenders on our channel, this channel is not a transvestigation channel. It's a channel that's helping you to understand your world, connecting the puzzle, the pieces that you don't understand about your world, trying to show you that everything that's happening around you is connected, and that nothing happens by reason or chance, that everything is meticulously planned. All right, so since we're in the transvestigation of Joyner Kersee already, we're going to start with this. And for the new subscribers, when you're done watching the primer video, you can come back and continue watching this video from this point. But for the new, or for the older subscribers rather, we're in the transvestigation already. So I'm going to show you the visual differences between a man and a woman while we are transvestigating Joyner Kersee. So on my left, we have a female. All right, females always have an arch in the back, a C-shaped arch in the back, depending on where you draw the arch from, or an S-shaped back. All right, now the reason why a female has an arch in her back is because her pelvis is tilted forward, which is necessary for childbirth. Without a tilted pelvis, a woman cannot carry pregnancy. So the tilt is for make sure that the baby stays inside the pelvic region. Now, also a female spine is much more flexible than that of a man, and so that's part of the reason also for the arch in the back, which is extra support for the weight of carrying children. All right, so I want you to remember that shape when you're doing a transvestigation. A female has a C-shaped arch in the back, or an S, depending on where you're drawing it from. Males do not have an arch in their back. A man has a straight back. If a man's back wants to arch, it's going to arch outside in the shape of a D or a P. A female's back arches inwards. A man's back arches outwards if it wants to have an arch. So I want you guys to remember that. So a man's back is straight or shaped like a P or a D. So I want you guys to remember those letters. So I'm going to scroll into the document to show you that it doesn't really matter the size of the woman, or what the woman looks like, that she always has to have an arch in her back. So that's what I intend to show you by scrolling through this document. So here is a female, and you can see here, right here, that this female is bending down, and you can see that deep C arch in the back because of the tilt of the pelvis. It doesn't matter what color of skin the woman has, her ethnicity, or what she looks like, she always has to have an arch in her back. Otherwise, how's she gonna get pregnant? So I'm going to scroll forward into the document just to show you it doesn't matter the size, whether she's big, small, or tall, there's always going to be an arch in a woman's back. So as you can see right here, there's a big female to my left and a small female to my right, and both of them have an arch in the back, and the pelvis is tilted forward, because without the pelvis tilt, a woman can get pregnant. So that's part of the reason why when you see a woman, if you look at a woman standing by her side, it always looks like her butt is sticking out, because the pelvis is tilted forward. So I scroll further into the document to show you that it doesn't matter if the woman's got sorry to say, nothing can change the skeletal structure of anybody. Once that structure has been predetermined at conception, nothing can change the skeletal structure. It doesn't matter what drugs, what surgeries out there, nothing can change the skeletal structure at all. So part of the reason why we have proof to show you that is when somebody dies, there is no flesh on a dead skeleton. All right. So the only way that the sex can be determined is by looking at the skeletal structure. So nothing changes the skeletal structure of anybody. Doesn't matter what surgery or plastic surgery the person gets, or what drugs or hormones they take. Nothing can change the skeletal structure. The skeletal structure of a man is always going to be the skeletal structure of a man. The skeletal structure of a female will always be the skeletal structure of a female. So for here, as you can see here, this is a muscular female, and as you can see, she has an arch in the back. Nothing can change that. Another female right here, arch in the back. Muscular females. So the next, I'm going to move over to the next pane to show you the hip differences between a man and a woman. So you guys can always remember that when you're doing a transvestigation. So let's move further. I'm going to play a clip right here to show you the difference between a man and a woman's hips, so you guys can never ever be confused. This is how a female's clothes are fitted or sewed, and how a female can fit into the clothes, because without people, or let's say the people who make clothes, knowing where the location of a female's hip is at, a lot of the clothes that sold around the world and brought into different countries would go amiss, because the female that you're sewing the clothes for wouldn't be able to fit, because you don't know the location of the hips. So the location of a hip and where the Q angle, because the Q angle is the angle between the hip and the knee. So the location of the hip determines where the Q angle of a man or a woman starts. For females, the Q angle starts below the crotch. All right. For males, it's above the crotch. The reason being, the way the male and female skeletal structure is designed, they're designed so that their reproductive organs can function optimally. Now, a man's genitals or his reproductive organs are outside the body. So where the hip is at determines where the end of the torso of the body is. Okay. So for males, the hip is above the crotch, so that the genitals can hang outside and perform optimally at the correct temperature, which is below the body temperature. For females, the female reproductive organ, everything is inside the body. So the hips are below the crotch, so they don't interfere with childbirth, and everything can be maintained. Like when a woman gets pregnant, the baby can stay inside the pelvic area. So the hip location determines where the end of the torso of the body is. So I'm going to play this clip so you guys can know where that is. So as you can see here, here's a female, and as usual, a female starts getting wider from below her elbows. So if you're a woman, just go stand in front of the mirror and take a look. You will notice that from your elbows, you start getting wider downwards. And the widest point is always going to be your hips, which is going to be below the crotch. So you see right here, as this lady is going to be measured for us to know where the hip location is at for a female. So as you can see right there, the tape goes around, and as you can see, that's the measurement of the hip, and it's below the crotch, okay, not above it. A man's hips are above the crotch. So if this was a man, the hip would be up here. All right, so this female is going to turn around so you can see where the hip is at from the back. Now, what I always say with a lot of people who are trying to find or identify the sex or gender of anybody is that if you have difficulty looking at the Q angle from the front, try to see if you can get a picture of the person from the back, because once you look at the back, you're going to know exactly where the Q angle of that person is, if it's below the crotch or above it. So in a female's case, the hips are below the crotch, but is slightly above the bum line, but below the crotch. So the distance from that hip to the bum line in most females are always going to be slightly, in all females, going to be just slightly above the crotch, not too far up. Some of them can be so close to the bum line, the hips, but some of them can be just this distance. It's not going to be farther up from here, from the bum line. What with a man, the hip is going to be from the bum line is going to be farther up, so you can actually see the bum line and then the hip farther up into the bum. Okay, so that's just what I wanted to show you. So as you can see right here, the hips are below the crotch but slightly above the bum line, so don't forget that. So let's move further. So we are now on the Jackie Joyner Kersee info page on Wikipedia. Now there's a reason why I wanna read this particular Wikipedia page to you, to see how if you don't know by now that the Vatican is the people, the Vatican is the organization that runs and owns everything, almost everything in this world. Okay, they are the ones who are behind the organized transgendering and taking of young children before they can reach the age in which they can make a decision for themselves to say they want to live in a sex and gender that's different from the sex and gender they were born with. These kids are taken and forcefully made to live as products, okay, that the Vatican can use to influence or make you influence the wall that they call the New World Order. All right, so I've explained all that before. There's so many videos in which I explain that the New World Order in simple terms just means that the Pope wants to run the world and you in it. And the term New World Order means new. So if that means if you have something new, you have to get rid of the old. All right, so that means you've made something old. You say you have a new car, that means automatically you have an old car. That means you've gotten rid of the old car. So in this situation, when they call it the New World Order, that means the old way of doing things in which males were married to females has to be done away. You have to have what they call homosexuality marriages right now as the case. So that is just an example. So you get rid of the old way of doing things and bring in the new. So transgenders are part of that. They're used to influence your world because their minds are confused. They can only do what they've been told. So it's very, very important that you watch the primer video in which I go into a lot of explanation of this. So we're on Jackie Joyner Kersee, and I just want to read something from a particular web page so you guys can actually see the Vatican code of numbers. If you're new to the channel and you're trying to understand what I'm saying, you need to watch. You need to actually look for the playlist called the Vatican Code of Numbers, or you can watch the Lisa Loeb's video. It will show you the Vatican numbers that the Vatican uses. All right, when it's trying to tell you a lie, or when it's telling you a lie, or trying to maybe give you answers to something that they don't have no understanding of, or they don't have any answers for. So we'll start with reading this Jackie Joyner Kersee, because we're in the transposition of Jackie Joyner Kersee already. It says here, Jackie Joyner Kersee, born March 3rd. Right, March is the third month of the year. All right, so that from just reading this page, I could just see that this whole story about Jackie Joyner Kersee is a fabrication already. So March is the third month of the year, and they say she was born on the third of the third month of the year in the year 1962. There's already another Vatican code of numbers in there. 1962. They say he's an American retired track and field athlete ranked among the all-time greatest athletes in the heptathlon as well as long jump. She won 3 gold, 1 silver, and 2 bronze Olympic medals. There's still another Vatican code of numbers right there. 3 gold, 1 silver, 2 bronze, making 6 medals. Okay, now let's go read further into I just want you guys to notice that this particular web page on Jackie Joyner Kersee, it's littered with the Vatican code of numbers, or what they call, a lot of people might call, or what you can also call Freemasonic numbers all over. Now she said they say here she wears 66 kg. All right, so I want you guys to take notice of that also. Now moving further down into the early life of Jackie Joyner Kersee. They say here that Jackie Joyner was born March 3rd, 1962 in East St. Louis, Illinois, and was named after Jackie Kennedy. So Jackie Joyner Kersee was named after, Jackie Kennedy, which would possibly mean that Jackie Joyner may not have had no parents. She could have been maybe in vitro fertilized, and she was given to a handler, which happens to be her husband, whose name was, I think, Bob Kersee, or whatever the name might be. We'll find that out later. So that's just what I wanted you guys to notice first, before we start looking at Jackie Joyner Kersee, to try and investigate and see if she actually fits the bill. So let's move further. So before we enter into the transvestigation of Jackie Joyner properly, I just want you guys to take a look at what a female athlete, a real female athlete, or female athletes look like. All right. So I just want you to take a look at that. Now, the person that we're looking at the screen now is called Shante McMillan. So we're going to use her as an example of what a female athlete looks like, to show you that nothing changed the skeletal structure of a woman. So as you can see right here, this female athlete has an arch in her back. I want you to notice that. She still has an arch in the back. So somebody won't say it's because of all, the work that she's doing, or, the muscular development in the gym. So that can change the skeletal structure. This is a female athlete in her prime, in Shante McMillan. And as you can still see, she has an arch in her back and her hips are below her crotch. We have some more examples of that. Okay, here is another example of two female athletes in Shante McMillan and one other lady. I don't quite remember what this lady's name is. But I want you to notice the way these females look. You can start seeing that from below the elbows right here, these women start getting wider, all right? And the widest point as they're tapering is going to be below the crotch. The hips are below the crotch. Same with this other female over here to your right. From her elbow, she starts getting wider. Now, some people might say that a female's shoulders can be wider than her hips. That is correct. We're not disputing that. What we're talking about is the widening of the female from below, from under her elbows down to her torso. All right. So that's what I want you guys to remember. So as you can see right here, from under their elbows, these females start spreading downwards, and the widest point is below their crotch. And you can see the wide pubic arch that these females have right here. Okay, so I want you guys to take notice of that. These are very athletic females at the top and prime of their game. Some other pictures. Here is still the same females. As you can still see, they still have an arch in the back. They start getting wider, and the widest point is below the crotch for all these ladies. They start getting wider, and you can still see they have an arch in the back. Even with this one, even with the lady in the middle, who seems to have shoulders that are wider than her hips, but she's still spreading like a woman, and the widest point is below her crotch. So I want you guys to remember that, okay? And here is Shante McMillan running. As you can still see, even while she's running, she's widening from her elbows downwards, and her Q angle is below the crotch, and that's where the Q angle starts. You can see how acute that Q angle is for a very muscular, athletic female. So we move now over, and this is still another picture of Shante McMillan. So you can still see that she's still spreading from under her elbows, and the widest point is still below her crotch from where her Q angle starts. The Q angle is the angle between the hip and the knee. All right, she has a wide pubic arch, as you can see. All right, so here is Jackie Joyner Kersee. And and someone's gonna look at this and say this is an ugly looking black woman. But people, this is not how black women look, especially for a lot of people who have been soaked into stereotypically thinking about certain ethnicities, that they look a certain way, all right? Or what the white supremacist media has been passing on to us, in that black women are not beautiful, and that if you're an albino or white person, then you're much more beautiful than a black person. If you're interested about knowing why I call white people albinos, which is actually true, because white people, anybody with straight hair, all right, is an albino, all right? If the hair is not woolly or nappy, you're an albino. and your albinos of black people. If you want to know about all that, you can look at the Myth of Whiteness series playlist. Look for the series called Myth of Whiteness. It's a playlist on the channel, and watch it. Okay, so this is not a beautiful black, or this is not an, sorry to say, this is not an ugly black woman. This is actually a man. So as you can see here, Jackie Joyner, first of all, has a straight back. There is no arch in the back. There's absolutely no arch in the back. It's straight into the pelvis, and that's the pelvis right there. And as you can see, the shoulders of this woman are sticking outside the torso of the body. Naturally, a woman's arms or body always follow the contours. That means if a woman has an hourglass figure, her arms are going to be shaped in that way too. All right? So as you can see, Jackie Joyner Kersee here has a straight back. There is no arch in the back, which makes Jackie Joyner a male. Let's pick up one more picture. As you can see right here, it's clear as night and day. It's straight back into the pelvis. There's no arch. Straight back into the pelvis, because Jackie Joyner is a man. It's been presented to us by the Vatican owned media that this is actually female, and that's part of the reason why a lot of United States athletes in female competitions always seem to beat out everybody else, because most of them are being paraded around to us, or masquerading as women when they're actually castrated male. And this is kind of the kind of thing that the Vatican portrays to you, who owns the media, and tells you that you should look up to this kind of people when there are frauds. Because as you can read here from this particular article that's been written about Jackie Joyner Kersee, says girls playing sports. This is a lie, because he knows for a fact that he's no girl, that he's a black ugly man. All right, trying to disdain the beautiful black figures of females around the world. This is an imposter. So he's saying from Jackie Joyner Kersee, saying girls playing sports is not about winning gold medals. It's about self-esteem, learning to compete, and learning how hard you have to work in order to achieve your goals. And this is the kind of role models they're going to be portraying to women all around the world, including black women, when this is actually a man. It is so horrible. But let's move further for now, and we'll talk about some certain more things, and then when we can come back and finish off the transvestigation of Jackie Joyner Kersee. So this is the part that I have to put out warnings, because this show is gonna go it's gonna go in a direction that that is never any of the videos have never gone before. So first of all, I want to apologize for the language that you're going to be hearing on this particular video. For those people who are very, very holy and don't speak no bad language, this is not the video for you to watch. If you're so holy and you can't stand bad language, you think it's a criminous, okay? Please pause the video at this point in time and just quit. I have to apologize for the bad language that it's going to be on this particular video, because it's not of my own making. I just want you guys to receive or hear what is going to be said by these individuals the way they said it, okay? So I apologize for the bad language. If you can't handle bad language, you're too holy, you're too so-called Christianly, this is the point that you have to pause the video and quit. Now, the next warning I have to put up is that there is no slandering allowed on a channel. All right, you just can't come up and say someone is a transgender without providing facts based on the female skeletal structure. Otherwise, your comments are gonna get you blocked. You just can't say someone is a man. You just can't say someone is a woman when you're trying to say the person is a transgender. You just can't say the person is a transgender. You have to provide links of pictures based on the female skeletal structure. And what am I talking about as a female skeletal structure? For a woman to give birth, which differentiates the sexes, she has to have an arch in her back. Her hips are below her crotch. She has a wide pubic arch. She has a pelvis that tilts it forward. So any of those pictures or facts that you're trying to prove to us that this person is a transgender has to contain those kind of pictures showing that the person in question has an arch in the back, hips below the crotch, the pelvis is tilted forward, and a wide pubic arch. If you do not include that in your links, and you just say the person is just transgender. You just say the person is a man or a woman, or you say the person has long index fingers, ring index fingers, has Adonis bells, has a strong jawline, looks boyish, looks mannish, has long torsos, long legs, and that qualifies the person to be a transgender, you're gonna get blocked. All right, so there's no slandering allowed on this channel, so I have to remind you of that. Bring your evidence, bring your facts. Okay, then the next warning I have to put up is that this is gonna be a long video, so if you can't sit through a long video, you need to pause the video right here and just quit. And then also as usual, you should know that the Vatican hasn't changed. They are the ones responsible for the organized transgendering and taking of young children and making them to live in a sex and gender that's different from the sex and gender that we were born with. And also, you have to understand that we have nothing against transgenders, provided you have reached the age you weren't like induced into changing your sex by someone who was older than you. As long as you've reached that age of maturity and you can make the decision and say you want to be a transgender, that's totally up to you. We are not here to judge you. We have no right to judge anybody. All right, we're just exposing people caught up in a lie on this channel. That's all we're doing. So after saying all that, now we can start. I can get into the video properly. Now we're gonna be looking at certain individuals and certain stories to make you understand that pedophilia is a problem. We're gonna make you understand the fact that that when you see people on TV, that a lot of the so-called big artists that you have, or people in high places and position of power, are not actually what you think they are. They are actually handlers. And if you know what I'm saying, a handler is someone who is in the position of making sure that another person, all right, is taken care of and goes according to plan in the intelligence industry. So for example, maybe you watch Oprah on TV and you just think of Oprah as just a newscaster. You're actually wrong. That's a handler. And how can you tell if someone is a handler? Well, when in any industry, when somebody is responsible for either producing, all right, or signing up somebody to an organization, then that person automatically is a handler. Okay, so that's what I want you guys to take notice of. So I'm gonna start the video with explaining certain definitions, because these definitions, as we go along the video, we're gonna use it. So I want you guys to have a firm understanding of what we're saying, and then I'm gonna be reading from the Protocols of Zion, which is actually the Protocols of the Vatican, for you guys to understand what you're going to be hearing in the later videos that I'm going to be playing, because I'm going to be playing videos about Shaka Khan on this particular video in reference to Whitney Houston. I'm going to be playing videos concerning the Young Money team, including Lil Wayne, and I think one of the dude there in Young Money. I'm gonna be playing videos from a guy called I think what's the actual guy's name? Let me make sure that I got the name right. Hold on a second. So I'm gonna be playing a video. The name I wanted to say was Corey Feldman. I'm gonna be playing a video about Usher. And who else am I missing in there? I think that is it for now. I'm going to be playing videos from this so-called celebrities to actually see, to actually make you see rather that these people were, have been molested or assaulted as young children. They've been groomed to be handlers, and that the so-called people who say that their parents could actually be their handlers, and these children have no connection to them as parents. And so we want to just show you how the pedophilia in Hollywood and certain circles are arranged by the Vatican. All right, so that's what we're gonna show in this particular video. So I advise that you stick around. It's gonna be a long video, and let's get started. So I start the video by trying to explain or giving the definition of the word that's called mystery. All right, mystery. Now, in popular culture, a mystery is always defined or interpreted to be the unknown, something you do not know. So it becomes mystery, or something that is hard to understand becomes history. It becomes mystery. Sorry to say, if I said history. So a mystery is often defined in popular culture today as the unknown or something that's difficult to understand. But in actual sense, I want you guys to have a clear definition of the word mystery today that's different from what popular culture, which is controlled by the Vatican, wants you to understand. So if you go looking for let's say the meaning of mystery, in most times this is how a mystery is defined. I'm going to read it to you. It says something not understood or beyond understanding. That is what the Vatican, which controls the information that we hear, wants you to believe. But in a true sense, the actual meaning of mystery means a private secret. That's what mystery means, a private secret. So what do I mean private secret here? So let's say, for example, okay, that let's say I'm trying to find the best explanation. Let's say, for example, I'm going to use the case that you try to buy someone a gift. Okay, when you go into the store and you buy a gift for someone, the store where you purchased the gift from knows that you bought this gift. Okay, or you bought this product which you want to give to somebody else. But the only people who know that you bought this gift will be the store where you purchase it from and you. So it's a private secret. Private secret, because only you and the store owner or the store where you purchased the gift from knows that you bought something. Okay? So when you go to present the gift to whosoever you want to give the gift to, the person has no idea. All right? It's a private secret. It doesn't mean it's a secret. It's a private secret. Secret only known between you and the store where you purchased the gift from. Okay? So let's say, for example, that you never ever give the person the gift that you bought from the store. That secret is just held between you and the store which you purchased from, and the third party which you wanted to give the gift to has no clue or understanding of what transpired between you and the store. Okay, so that's the best way I can explain it. So when you hear mystery, mystery means somebody knows what's going on, but since you are not in that circle, that means you have no clue. So to the outside person, it's going to be a mystery of the unknown. But to the people transacting the business, it's a private secret between the two parties, just like I explained, between the store where you purchased the gift from and you. So what I want you to understand from this is that anytime you hear the word mystery, I don't want you guys to think that it means that something cannot be understood or it's beyond understanding. It just means a private secret. That means somebody knows. You may not know, so it becomes a mystery to you. Okay? So that's what I want you to understand. So let's move on to the next definition. So another definition of mystery. So I want you guys to take from this that occult, when you hear the word occult, all right, occult is the same word as a mystery. And what does occult mean? Occult means a secret disclosed or communicated only to the initiated or hidden from view. All right, so that is what I want you guys to take from this. So when you hear the word mystery and occult, they are one and the same thing. That means there are private secrets. If you're not initiated, all right, into the secret, then you have no clue. So using the definition of which I talked about, a store where you purchase something from, and you and a third party that you want to give something to, if you never ever reveal that you bought a gift to the person, the third party that's involved in that story that I told, it's only going to be a secret. All right? Now, when you communicate that secret to the third party and said, hey, I got you a gift from a store, the person has been initiated into the secret. So that's what I want you guys to take from this. Okay? So let's move further. So here is the article that I want to read to you from the Protocols of Zion, which should actually be the Protocols of the Vatican, so that you can understand what's going on in the news and whatsoever that you're going to be hearing on this particular video. So I'm reading from Protocol number 12. in the Protocols of Zion, and I'm reading from number 3. It says, we shall deal with the press in the following way. What is the part played by the press today? It serves to excite and inflame those passions which are needed for a purpose, or else it serves selfish ends of parties. It is often vapid, unjust, mendacious, and the majority of the public have not the slightest idea what ends the press really serves. So I want you to understand that when you're listening to the news, all right, that you have to understand, according to the words of the people who own the media, who own the news that you hear, they say that it's going to be vapid, unjust, mendacious, and that you have not the slightest clue what ends the press really serves. They started out by saying that the press only serves to excite and inflame those passions. That means excite and inflame your emotions, which are needed for the purpose of whatsoever they want to serve you. Okay, so let me keep on reading. And it says, we shall saddle and bridle it with a tight curb. We shall do the same also with all productions of the printing press. So including the books that you read, those nice books that you read, it all goes to serve their stories. It all goes to serve whatsoever purpose the Vatican wants it to serve. It's not about telling you the truth. So it doesn't matter what format that you have your information come from. In the newspapers, through social media, through TV, it still serves the same purpose. It's there to excite and inflame your passions or emotions for the purpose which they require those emotions to be geared towards and also it's always going to be vapid, unjust, and mendacious. There is no truth in the media. So let me keep on reading. It says, we shall saddle and braille it with a tight curb. We shall do the same also with all production of the printing press. For where would be the sense of getting rid of the attacks of the press if we remain targets for pamphlets and books? The produce of publicity, which nowadays is a source of heavy expense owing to the necessity of censoring it, will be turned by us into a very lucrative source of income to our state. Is the media very, very lucrative today? Yes, it is. Okay, let's continue reading. We shall law on it a special stamp tax and require deposits of caution money before permitting the establishment of any organ of the press or of printing offices. This will then have to guarantee our government against any kind of attack on the part of the press. So whatever, let me just finish reading this because I don't need to explain it. I think it's self-explanatory in itself. It says, for any attempt to attack us, if such still be possible, we shall inflict fines without mercy. Such measures as stamp tax, deposit of caution money, and fines secured by these deposits will bring in a huge income to the government. It is true that party organs might not spare money for the sake of publicity, right? But this we shall shut up at the second attack upon us. No one shall with impunity lay a finger on the aureole of our government infallibility. The pretext for stopping any publication will be the alleged plea that is agitating the public mind without occasion or justification. Have we ever heard this? You know, that the media comes up to you and says, okay, that they have to put this out because it's agitating the public. It's not meant for public consumption, so this has to be taken out. Or they say classified information. We don't think it should be revealed to the public at this time because it would be damaging and all this sort of stuff. Oh, for example, right now we hear that there was a shooter a couple of weeks ago in Las Vegas, and then they say they're not releasing every information about the shooter because they think investigation is going on at this point in time. We don't think the public should be aware. All right, have you heard that before? So that's exactly what's going on here. Let's keep on reading. It says the pretext, I'll just read it again. The pretext for stopping any publication will be the alleged plea that is agitating the public mind without occasion or justification. I beg you to note, now this is the part that I want you guys to take notice of, because you're gonna see it in play in the next couple of videos that I'm gonna be playing to you, all right, especially in the Corey Feldman video. So I want you to take notice of this. It says, I beg you to note that among those making attacks upon us will also be organs established by us. That means when you see people come up in the press or come up on TV and seem like they're attacking the government with so much force, with so much anger, it's actually mean it's controlled opposition. It's meant, just like they said here, to inflame your passions, so you can actually think that you can actually think that something is being done when it's all a show. Okay, so I read that again because I want you to remember this every time that you watch the news. I beg you to note that among those making attacks upon us will also be organs established by us, but they will attack exclusively points that we have predetermined to alter. We control the press. And who controls the press, or who are the we? It is the Vatican. So I want you guys to remember that before we can continue with this particular video. All right, so let's move on. So I want to play or maybe just make you guys notice something about the Harvey Weinstein case. I started talking about this in the Keith Urban video, but I want you guys to remember this portion that I think I did put up in the Keith Urban video, and I'm going to read it again because the reason why I'm laying emphasis on the Harvey Weinstein case is this. Because with Harvey Weinstein, we've heard in the news that Harvey Weinstein has assaulted a lot of women, molested a lot of women, spanning decades of over 30 years. It was an open secret in Hollywood and everything else. And a lot of people are soaking in the story, okay? But we are not looking at the fine details of what's going on. So first of all, the questions that we need to ask is like, why is this happening now? Because usually when people listen to the news or hear the news, they don't listen with a clear and concise mind, because you need to understand that any news that's being presented to you, if let's say for example you had news presented to you today, there's a reason why that news is aired today, which is a Monday, the 16th day of October 2016. It's not a coincidence. 2017. It's not a coincidence, okay, that news is being aired today. So for example, in the Harvey Weinstein case, we have to look at what are the events that transpired to the point that news has been presented to us. So first of all, we have to notice that week that Harvey Weinstein's case blew up, you have to understand that Donald Trump was somewhere in Puerto Rico, okay? The shooting of the Las Vegas shooting happened earlier that week, and then later that week, the Harvey Weinstein case came out. So the question we now need to ask is this: is it possible that those events that transpired before the Harvey Weinstein case came out and was made public to the media, to us, and events that happened after, could it be that they are all connected? Is a question you guys have to answer or think about. Is it possible? Because if we've come to understand that the Las Vegas shooting, which is actually set up by the Vatican, because the Vatican Code of Numbers was at work. You can go take a look at that particular Vatican Code of Numbers. For example, they said the shooter was on the 32nd floor. It happened on Route 91 and all that. Those are Vatican symbolic numbers. You have to reason. Is it possible that Harvey Weinstein is connected? And maybe the Vatican is trying. I'm just asking a question here. I'm not giving any facts. It's just a question. That Harvey Weinstein is connected to that case, and maybe the public is gonna catch up on this, fake or hoaxes that the government is setting up, and then the government is trying to veer your attention away, all right, or trying to disconnect Harvey Weinstein from it, so you guys don't notice. It's just a possible scenario. I'm saying that's what's happening, but what I'm trying to say is that when you listen to the news, you have to listen with your mind open. You have to ask the question, why is it happening now? Why has it been that all through the years that Harvey Weinstein has been molesting and assaulting people, and it was just revealed that week? Now, the next thing you have to answer or ask this question is this. Because a lot of people are coming out of the woodwork and saying that Harvey Weinstein assaulted them. Why did these people keep quiet for so long? Because timing is always an issue. Like I've always said, there's no such thing as a coincidence. So the question we need to ask is this: who has such power to make all these people come out and speak at the same time about Harvey Weinstein? When you answer those kind of questions, then you will come to understand that everything around that you see that's happening in your world is controlled and organized. Because it takes real power to make all these so-called celebrities who are very, very powerful or influential in Hollywood, as they say, to speak out at the same time about Harvey Weinstein, and none of them is speaking in any opposite manner or in support or against or trying to give a view that's different from what we have been told, that Harvey Weinstein has been assaulting women, a large number of women, over 30 years, over decades long, and none of these people spoke up till now. So who had the kind of power, if Harvey Weinstein was doing all this, to keep all these people quiet? And who had the kind of power to make them talk and open up at the same time? At the same time, at this time. So that's the question you guys need to answer. So let me read this up before I can show you all the many faces that are talking about Harvey Weinstein assaulting them. So this is from this is one of the protocols, or one of the things that Adam Weishaupt, who was a trained Vatican Jesuit, all right, one of the things that he made the Vatican know, that this is one of the things that you have to implement if you have to run the world under the new world order that you guys are trying to implement. So I'm going to read Adam Weishaupt's revised plan, because people, you have to understand, when you hear the word Illuminati, the Illuminati just simply means the Vatican. You should understand that. Now, you should have to understand there is an outer circle of the Illuminati. That means the outer circle of the Vatican and the inner circle. The outer circle is all the people that we see in the news, and the inner circle are the people that you don't even hear about. They could be presented to you, but you don't know anything about them, that there are the people running the world. Okay, so I want to read from Adam Weishaupt's revised Illuminati plan one more time before I get into the people who are coming out of the woodwork against Harvey Weinstein. And we have to ask the question, why? Who had the power to keep them quiet through all these 30 years of the so-called Harvey Weinstein assaulting and molesting all these people, and who had the power to make them speak up at the same time today? All right, so I read this. It says, use monetary and sex bribery to obtain control of people already occupying positions in high places in the various levels of all governments and other fields of human endeavor. Once an influential person had fallen for the lies, deceits, and temptations of the Vatican, they were to be held in bondage by application of political and other forms of blackmail and the threats of financial ruin, public exposure, and physical harm, and even death to themselves and their loved ones. This is a Vatican tactic to controlling people who have gone awry, or is a Vatican tactic to catch, to get other people inside the net that they want. Because like I've said before in the Keith Urban video, that this story with Harvey Weinstein will start with Harvey Weinstein, but it's not going to end with Harvey Weinstein. So let me pick up some of the names that have come out of the woodwork. And you guys have to answer the question, like I said, who had the power to keep them quiet, and who had the power to make them talk at the same time today? Let's go. So here's a story on Yahoo. You can pause the video at any point in time and copy out that link and go read up on it. It says actress Eva Green claims Harvey Weinstein sexually assaulted her, ending when she had to push him off. Why didn't she say so when it happened? Who had the power to keep her quiet for so long and then make her speak up today that Harvey Weinstein assaulted her? That's Eva Green talking. So I'll move on to the next story. The next story now comes out from Colin Firth. All right, Colin Firth says, Colin Firth admits he feels ashamed for not trying to expose Harvey Weinstein. You can pause the video at any point in time, copy out the link right there, and go read up on it. So the question now remains, who had the power to keep Colin Firth quiet, and who had the power to make him speak today about Harvey Weinstein if it really happened? Those are the questions you need to answer. Let's move on to the next person. Next person is Howard Stern. Howard Stern here says, you can pause the video at any point in time and copy out the link. It says, Howard Stern, I knew Harvey Weinstein was lying when he denied there was a casting couch. right? So if Howard Stern knew, who had the power to make him keep quiet about saying or revealing this? And then who had the power to make him speak up today? So that's the question you guys need to answer. Don't get so focused on the Harvey Weinstein case, because like I said, it starts with Harvey Weinstein. It's not going to end with him. You need to focus on the people who had the power to keep these fellows in Hollywood quiet, and then who had the power to make them speak up, because it definitely wasn't Harvey Weinstein. So that's what I want you guys to take notice of. So let's keep moving and find out somebody else. This is from a lady, I think, what's this girl's name? Alyssa Milanos. This is Alyssa Milanos saying that she sent a hashtag that proves that Harvey Weinstein was molesting so many females. You can pause the video at any point in time and copy out that link, and let's hear what she has to say here. So it actually says here on this webpage, Alyssa Milano is helping others speak out. So the question, like I said, is you guys need to ask, who had the power to make Alyssa Milano speak up now? All this huge number of people speak at the same time. Isn't it weird to you? Who has such power? Because we thought all celebrities were just celebrities. They were individuals doing their own businesses. But as we've come to show you, are you coming to see right now, it's all controlled. And how do they have this kind of power to control all these celebrities at the same time? This is where we are leading you to understand, okay? So we move on to the next person. The next person here happens to be, her name is, I don't know if it's a he or a she, but the name is Mayim Bialik Wazen. How do we raise boys not be like Harvey Weinstein? Who has the power to make Mayim Bialik speak up about Harvey Weinstein at this particular juncture in history, at this particular time? Okay, let's move on to the next person. Now, the next person is Bob Weinstein, Harvey Weinstein's brother. And actually, I'm going to let a video play on this one so you guys can actually hear it.
From the Harvey Weinstein scandal, the growing list, new allegations, and what the Weinstein Company is now saying. Again here, Lindsay Davis.
Tonight, explosive new accusations against Harvey Weinstein. Actress Angie Everhart tells a KLOS radio show he blocked the door as he pleasured himself in front of her.
He says, you know, you're a really nice girl. You shouldn't tell anybody about this.
Actress Rose McGowan didn't name the media mogul directly, but in a tweet claims HW raped me. More than 24 women now say they were sexually harassed or assaulted by the powerhouse producer. Among them, model Paula Williams, sharing her story of an encounter with Weinstein for the first time.
I heard him open a bottle of champagne, and I don't even think I had a sip, and he exposed himself.
Weinstein has denied any allegations of non-consensual sex. He's now reportedly in Arizona, where he's set to receive treatment for sex addiction.
Guys, I'm not doing okay.
You're not?
I'm trying. I gotta get help, guys. You know what? We all make mistakes. Second chance, I hope.
Meanwhile, the company he built is preparing for big-name film releases.
Oh, Paddington.
Including Paddington 2. His brother Bob says business is continuing as usual.
Tomorrow, members of the Academy of Motion Picture Arts and Sciences plan to meet to decide if they should expel Weinstein and take away his membership, David.
Lindsay, thank you. And of course, a special...
So as you can see right there, many people came out talking about Harvey Weinstein. So the question is, like I've said, you need to ask that question. Who had the power to keep them quiet for such a long time? And who had the power at the same time today to make them speak up? Including Harvey Weinstein's brother. Who has that kind of power to make a brother or turn a brother against a brother? You can pause the link at any point in time and copy out that link right there and go read up on it. So we move on to the next person. Donna Karan here says that Donna Karan says she was exhausted and confused when asked about Harvey Weinstein. Who has the power to make all these people speak up at the same time? You can pause the video at any point in time and go read up on that link, copy it out, and go see. The next person is Octavia Spencer. Octavia Spencer and Harvey Weinstein scandal. Women across the world are banding together. Who has the power to bring all these people together and make them speak at the same time about Harvey Weinstein? That is the bigger question that you need to answer. Because, you know, when we watch the media and the news, we ask all the wrong questions. The right question is, who has this kind of power? Because it's definitely not Harvey Weinstein. Because if Harvey Weinstein had the power, they would still be quiet. So why are they speaking up now? All right. So let's keep moving on to the next person. Okay, and here they say Weinstein company knew of Harvey's misconduct for years. So even his own company knew about this misconduct, but they never said anything for over 30 years. And all of a sudden, all of them are speaking up at the same time. They're not speaking like 1 year apart. They're not speaking up like 2 years apart, 3 years apart, 4 years apart, 5, 6, 7, and so years apart, over decades, saying Harvey Weinstein assaulted someone. All of them are speaking at the same time. So the question we need to ask is, who has this kind of power to keep people quiet and make them talk? All right, so we move on to the next person. You can pause the video at any point in time and copy out that link to see how the Weinstein company knew of Harvey's misconduct for years. Now, the next person is actress Blake Lively. I'm actually going to play this video so you guys can actually listen, and then I'll come back and we'll talk some more, all right? So let's go.
With us, give it up for Blake Lively. It's great to have you here, and I'm from the New Orleans area, and you were giving me advice on where to go in New Orleans in the break. Thank you.
I love to eat my way through New Orleans.
Oh, please.
Stein's Deli.
Okay.
Stein's Deli.
And what do I
Get
order?
the Rachel extra crispy. They'll know it's for me. They'll go, oh, Blake sent you.
Rachel extra crispy.
Extra crispy. Yeah, the bread toasty and the meat crispy.
She had me an extra crispy. I don't care what it is. It could be air.
A little that too.
Congratulations.
It can be full food reviews.
We can always talk about food. Congratulations on everything.
Thank you.
Well deserved.
Thank
and
you.
This new movie that you have out, explain to people, because it's very inspiring about a person, a woman who's blind, but then gets her sight.
Yeah, she suffers an eye injury with a car accident when she's.
Because the question is, I mean, you're in the industry. How do you think Hollywood moves on from this point? How do you think it can seize this moment and turn it into something positive?
I think it's important that we acknowledge that this isn't just Hollywood. This is so much more global, and it's not just, oh, guess what? This is what's happening to women suddenly. This has been happening since the beginning of time, but now people are finally talking about it. And I think that that's what's important, is that where I never had experiences like this with Harvey myself. I only had positive ones with him, but but that goes to show where, you know, you don't always see what's going on behind closed doors. So I think that when people come forward, that your bosses, you have to acknowledge it. You know, there have been moments where I've come forward, where other people have come forward with things that just feel little and you're not sure. But when your bosses tell you that this is not a priority to them, then you think, okay, well then this must not be that big of a deal. Maybe what I'm complaining about isn't really that big of a deal. And it is.
And you're right, that's every single workplace.
Yep.
You just have to know it's okay to talk about it.
Yeah, but it's more than just like, oh, we're talking about it and we're supporting it. It's action. Everybody says that they stand in solidarity, but you have to show them.
So as you can see right there, Blake Lively is talking about Harvey Weinstein, even though she says that, you know, Harvey Weinstein, she didn't have that kind of, you know, problem with him. But like I've said, the question like we need to ask is, who has this kind of power to make all these people speak up at the same time, not just maybe months apart, not years apart, but at the same time about Harvey Weinstein? So let's move on to the list of people that have come out from the woodwork and said that Harvey Weinstein assaulted them over the years. They didn't say anything, but all of them spoke up at the same time. So who has the power to make this happen is what we're going to show you and how it's done today. So stick around and let's move on to the list. Now, if you're interested in hearing what like Lively said, here you can pause the video at any point in time and copy out that link and go look it up. But for now, let's move on. So here, if you're interested in the list of people, the number of people that have spoken about Harvey Weinstein, you could pause the video at any point in time and copy out this link and go read up on it. So let's look at the list. It was released today, October 2017, on the 16th day. And here are the so-called names. We have Ashley Judd, okay? We have okay, let me click that so you can actually see that clearly. Ashley Judd, you guys should know who Ashley Judd is. The next person is Zoe Brock, okay? Then you have Rose McGowan, you have Laura Madan, you have Lisa Campbell, you have Lauren Sivan, you can see the picture right there. You have Asia Argento, that's the picture of Asia Argento. You have Jessica Barth right here. You have Emma de Coens, I don't know if I'm saying the name right. You have Dawn Dunning. You have Ambra Batlana Gutierrez. You have Mira Sorvino right there. You have Lucia Stoller. You have Gwyneth Paltrow. You have Angelina Jolie. And for years, she never said anything. Who had the power to keep this woman quiet and had the power today to make her speak at the same time with everybody else? Let's keep going. Rosanna Arquette. You have Judith Godrèche. You have Catherine Kendall. You have Tommy Ann Roberts, Louisa Gears. And people, let me tell you something. If there is anything I know about women, especially if you're a grown woman, if you don't like a man, trust me, everybody's going to know you don't like that man. It's not going to be a secret. So for all these women to have remained in secret for over 30 years about not liking Harvey Weinstein and not saying anything about it should speak volumes that there is something most sinister at work that you guys don't see because you're asking all the wrong questions. So let's scroll down the list again. You have Romola Garay, you have Heather Graham, you have Cara Delevingne, you have who else there am I missing besides Cara Delevingne? Let's see, who else did I miss? Cara Delevingne, okay. Who else we got in there? We have Léa Seydoux, you have Clara Forlani, you have Florence Darrell, you have Sophie Dix, you have Kate Beckinsale, you have who else? Let's see, so many names. Melissa Sagamle, you have Minka Kelly, you have Eva Green, you have Lisette Anthony, Paula Washowak, and that's the list of the names for now. So you pause the video at any point in time and copy out that link and go look it up. So the question, like I've said, is who has the power? Because, like I've said before, if a woman doesn't like a man, trust me, everybody around you is going to know. Because she's going to tell you, I don't like this man. This is what this man did. I don't like him. Even if you're not going to tell what really transpired, you are going to make it known that you do not like that man. Because that's how women are. So who has the power to make these people keep quiet? And then who has the power to make them speak? Is what we're going to try to expose and show you how it's done. So stay tuned, all right? Let's move on. And here's what I picked up this website. I don't think it's any important website, but if you care to read, you can go read, right? This is Harvey Weinstein saying what's happening because we know it's a setup already, okay? He says here, Harvey Weinstein says, there is a political agenda behind this. Harvey feels it's a conspiracy, and that's the most interesting part of this. Where it originated from, not the erroneous reporting that's going on. He won't be the last. Other people like him will be targeted too. So like I said before, remember I said that this story is going to start with Harvey Weinstein, but it's not going to end. And this is Harvey Weinstein in his own words saying this. He says there's a political agenda behind this, that he feels it's a conspiracy, and that the most interesting part of this is where it originated from. Where is this coming from? And not the erroneous reporting that's going on. But there's one thing I will have to let you know. Even though Harvey Weinstein is saying this, Harvey Weinstein knows where it's originating from, because he's a high degree Freemason. He's been in this business for long. He works for the Vatican. He's a Vatican stooge himself, so he knows where it's coming from. So let me give you the exact scenarios of what I think. This is just my thoughts on where this is going and what's going on. First of all, I will think that Harry, the first line of thinking is that Harry is a willing participant in this scandal. That means he's being used to target other people, because like he's saying here, he wouldn't be the last. Other people like him will be targeted too. All right? So he's a willing participant to be used to target other people. Secondly, the second line of thinking is that he may not be a willing participant, all right? It could be that he has gone awry. That means he's trying to get out of the system. And the system in the Vatican wouldn't let him, because if he comes out, a lot of people are going to know what's going on, all right? And that maybe he was working behind the scenes trying to expose the Vatican, all right? The third line of thinking is this, that Harvey Weinstein was working on something that would reveal too much about the industry, about the Vatican, because remember, he's a movie producer. And it could be that people are at loggerheads with what he's trying to do and the direction that he's going, so he had to be outed. That's just that. Now, the fourth line of reasoning on what I'm thinking is this, that this is a cover-up for another story, or that Harvey is connected to the stories that are happening during the week, or that has transpired up to the point in time in which he's been outed as a molester. All the events that transpired that week. And so this is a cover-up, so you guys don't know that Harvey is involved. That's the fourth thing that I can bring to mind. So let's move on now and show you how this thing is done. How these people, remember at the start of this particular video, I did tell you that you have to understand that most people you see on your TV, or not just in TV, in every sphere in life, all right? Doesn't matter if it's music, the movie industry, your so-called pastors or whatsoever, that there are handlers. And how to spot a handler is someone who signs or produces other people to a company or an organization. That means you're handling those people. These people are trained in the arts, all right, of mind control and controlling other people. And so we're going to show you how it's done step by step, because we've already told you before that the way it's done in the simplest form is taking young children, all right, and training them in a certain way. When the child is old, he's not going to depart from it. I think I've showed you guys that before from the Bible. But let me just bring up that portion of the Bible, then we can continue with the story, okay? So let me do that. So I'm reading from Proverbs chapter number 22 in the King James or Geneva Bible. I'm reading from verse 6. It says, "Train up a child in the way he should go, and when he is old, he will not depart from it." So that means that the person who has the power to make all these people speak, okay, have trained these people right from the time they were children, so that they always will answer to them. And this people is the Vatican. And we're going to show you step by step and prove this, so you can actually see it very clearly and very glaring in this particular video. Okay, so that every time when I say that the Vatican is organizing and taking young children from young children in which they have not reached the age in which they know left or right, and taking those children and turning them into products which they can use to influence your world and control your world, you will not say we are just talking. We want to show you step by step today. So let's move on. So I want to thank K Poppy for this particular article. K Poppy is a subscriber on the channel. I just want to thank him so much for this article. I had seen this article, let's say a couple of maybe years or months ago, but I never actually took out the time to read it. So when K Poppy brought this to my attention, I was like, oh, I forgot totally about this. So I had to make you guys see it. So I'm going to read the details on this particular website, but it's very, very graphic. So it might be too graphic for a lot of people. So you might just maybe, if you don't want to, you can quit or pause the video at any point in time and just quit or fast forward. But if you want to read it yourself, you can pause the video at any point in time. I think I'm gonna leave a description section. I'm gonna leave a link of this particular website in the description section, so you guys can go read up on it yourself. You can pause the video at any point in time and copy out that link and go read up on it. Now, the article starts by saying discussion group discussion says mind control satanic elite child hunting parties. Now, the reason why I think K-Poppy brought this to my attention was because the last video we made was on Keith Urban, and Nicole Kidman is a so-called wife to Keith Urban, and this talks about Nicole Kidman's dad, that he was a high elite ranking officer in the pedophile ring. Now I'm gonna read a little bit fast, but when it comes to the places which I think you should pay attention to, then I'm gonna slow it down and read very, very slowly. It says Nicole Kidman's father dies amid pedophile child murder ring allegations comments for teen Judy Byington on September 14, 2014 in child exploitation, child Holocaust, children human trafficking investigations, ITCCS press releases, ritual abuse survivor stories. Okay, so I'm gonna read further into the page. It said yesterday Barnett released her own theory about Kidman's death. Now Barnett is the person that says that Nicole Kidman's father was abusing her. It says the main perpetrator of my child sexual abuse, Anthony Kidman, is dead after I filed formal complaints accusing him of the rape, torture, and murder of children in an exclusive Sydney pedophile ring. As a child victim of mind control, I feel he's been sacrificed for failing to adequately program me. All right, so this person goes on to say that Kidman was responsible for ensuring that I never disclosed pedophile ring activities that I witnessed as a child. She continued, he failed. News of Kidman's death impacted me. Someone who has undergone intense treatment. I know that there are other victims of Kidman's crimes out there who are perhaps not as far along the healing path as I am. I anticipate the news of Kidman's death may have a serious impact on those victims. A perpetrator's death can even trigger suicidal ideation. Now, she starts by saying that she made these complaints to the Australian Child Abuse Royal Commission. Now, the sad thing about this story is that the people that you're reporting, if someone gets abused, like in this country, because they're taken as children, so like I've showed you before, they're taken like children and trained, all right, to be this way. So the people you see on TV are taken as children. So that is where the power comes from. They've been trained in a certain way. They can't deviate from that training. That's all they know. All right, so if they're told to do something, then they do it. All right, but the funny thing is that in these children who later on grow out of the training or they try to get a mind of their own, is that when they make these reports to whosoever authorities that they make these reports to, the funny thing, the sad story is this, that the people that they are reporting their crimes, the crimes that have happened to them, are actually the same people committing the crimes. That is so sad, because every judicial aspect in this world, every authority is subservient to the Vatican. So even if they did a crime to you and you're reporting to the same people who perpetrated the crime. That is the sad story. So let me keep on reading here and tell you of this lady's horrific experience. It's going to be very, very graphic. Very, very graphic. So if you don't have ears for it, then don't even listen. So I'm going to read again. It says, the ICLCJ court has been looking into Barnett's allegations against Kidman in relation to the investigation of the global elite. The ICLJ court here is Vatican owned. All right. The investigation of the global elite Ninth Circle satanic child sacrifice cult. Over 60 eyewitnesses such as Barnett have testified of Ninth Circle child sacrifice and pedophile activities that span the globe, including criminal activities against children in the Americas, Netherlands, and UK Commonwealth countries such as Australia. Now, let's read into the story of what happened to this particular lady. All right. Now, she says here, oh, sorry, my mouse is moving all over the place. Hold on a second. She says here, since the tender age of 3. Can you believe this? So these children, or these people that you see on TV, like I've said before, who are coming out against Harvey Weinstein, so many of them, because like I've said, who has the power to make them keep quiet and speak at the same time? They've been taken to such tender ages as 3-year-olds. Let's keep on reading. It says, Barnett had been trapped inside Australia's vast pedophile network where children were sex trafficked, hunted down for sport, and murdered. In the late afternoon of October 28, 1975, this is her narrating the story. I was taken to my 6th birthday party in the Kiama rainforest, Banner said. The cordial was spiked with drugs. I fell asleep. When I woke, it was dark, and I was lying naked, face up, spread eagle on a picnic table with my hands and legs tied. It's so horrifying. Just reading it just sends chills. He said, perpetrators took turns sneaking up on me. A large group of men arrived in pickup trucks. They carried rifles and had a pack of starving Doberman dogs. I was told that the group of naked children huddled nearby were my responsibility. I was to run and hide them. Every child I failed to hide would be killed and fed to the dogs. They painted something on my back and chest and then released us. I pushed the children up over the first steep hill. It was about the second or third hill that the hunting party reached us. Shots were fired and children began dropping all around me. With all hope lost of my saving the other children, I took off and ran for my life. So these are just young kids. Can you imagine the harrowing experiences that they put these kids through? Now, these are just the kids that they use for sport. You can imagine the torture that the ones that you see on TV who are speaking out against Harvey Weinstein today must have gone through. So now let me read another line. This one is going to just show you glaringly so that every time when we say that it's the Vatican that's doing all this, you guys will have no doubt. Because this is the kind of stories that you should hear on CNN, on all your major news networks. But you never get to hear them. Why? Because the people who perpetrate the act are the same people who are reporting or that you're reporting the act to. So let me read about this particular lady who talks about her own experiences. It says, Dutch therapist Toos Nijenhuis testified at the ICLCG court that as a child, and like Barnett, she was badly abused and forced to witness child murders that involved global elites. Claimed childhood torture at Barnett Sames Australian Halsworthy Army Base, and like Barnett, was a victim of human hunting parties. Nijenhuis' perpetrators included former Pope Joseph Ratzinger, a pope. So when I say that it's the Vatican that's doing all this, I am not just talking. Nijenhuis says that the person who perpetrated this act to her was the former Pope, Pope Joseph Ratzinger, the Pope before Pope Benedict. It was in office right now. Okay, so let's keep reading. It says, Dutch Catholic Cardinal Al Frink, another Jesuit, another Vatican person, and Bilderberger founder Prins Bernhard, right here, Prins Bernhard. Nijenhuis explained to an international tribunal into crimes of church and state secretary Reverend Kevin Annett how witness to child sacrifices as late as 2010. Can you see that even the person she's reporting to is a reverend, is another Vatican person? So that's the sad story about all this. The people that you're reporting as perpetrators are the same people that you're reporting to and telling them about what they did. Now let me read further into the story, into the webpage, so you guys can actually see that it's going to clearly tell you that it's the Vatican. All right, let me just continue reading it, then I'll go over this. It says, the Ninth Circle Satanic Child Sacrifice Call could easily hide crimes of their global elite members. They were well trained by Hitler's mind control experts from Nazi Germany. Barnett's Nazi's grandfather's pedophile network was said to include clinical psychologist Kidman, that Nicole Kidman's father, and John W. Gittinger. I think it's Nicole Kidman's grandfather, if I'm correct, or father, whatever the case, but he's related to Nicole Kidman, who developed a popular test among psychiatric professionals known as the Personality Assessment System. In the Independent Australian News, Barnett stated that as a young child, Gittinger abused and raped me. So let's read, let me show you the part that you guys should take notice of. Like I said, you can pause the video at any point in time, copy out the link. I'm also going to leave a description section in the video. It says, this article is dedicated to victims of the Vatican and mafia-run global elite Ninth Circle Satanic Child Sacrifice cult, and to the memory of over 50,800 missing children, some of whom rest in 34 mainly Catholic-owned unmarked mass grave sites that have been refused excavation across Canada, Ireland, and Spain. The child perpetrators continue to live lives freely of responsibility for their ongoing crimes. So that's what I wanted you guys to take notice of, that this is information that's out there, but because the Vatican is so good at covering up its tracks and making you get interested in hip-hop music and every other thing except paying pertinent attention to what you're supposed to. So when we say that this is the Vatican behind all this, we are not just talking. So I'm going to show you a few examples starting with Usher on how these children are taken, all right, and trained, and then they become handlers themselves just like they were handled. So that's what I want to show you. So let's move on. So before I start the video with using Usher as an example, because I said I'm gonna play so many videos starring like maybe the Young Money team or Cash Money, which means Lil Wayne, and also Corey Feldman, and maybe the death of Whitney Houston and Bobby Christina as examples to show you that these people are taken from childhood and made to be the way they are. So what I want to explain is the difference between tradition and culture. So when something is a tradition, it means that okay, first of all, let's explain the meaning of tradition. Tradition is the handing down of statements, beliefs, legends, customs, information from generation to generation. So for example, so when these kids are taken, they are trained a certain way, so it's going to be like a tradition for them. Or they would say that this is the norm in the industry, or whatever the case might be, that this is the way things are. So a tradition is something that, you know, when something is a tradition, you don't see it to be anything wrong. So the people who are perpetuating this act see it as tradition. The taking of young children, assaulting, molesting, killing, or whatever the case might be, they see it as a tradition for them. So to us who are outside, remember I started the video by explaining the meaning, the difference between understanding a mystery, understanding the meaning what a mystery is. That a mystery is not something that's unknown, rather it's a private secret. So these traditions are private secret of these members of these organizations, or in which the Vatican holds power over. So these children, when they're being groomed, they see this as a norm. So when they are handling other people, like for example Usher, which I believe was trained from a very young age to be at the age where he is, because you'll find out in the story that Usher was sent to by his mom to go and live with Puff Daddy, which Puff Daddy is also another handler. So, and he was just barely 14 years when he went to live with Puff Daddy. So what kind of parent sends his own son to go and live with a grown man that he has no connections with because he wants him to be successful in the music business? Which makes me to think that Usher's mom is a handler, all right, and that Usher is possibly not his own or her own son, could be just a child that he groomed, she groomed rather. So when something is a tradition, it is a norm. So these people don't see anything wrong with it. But with us who are outside of that sphere and contact, we see something wrong to it. So it can also be a secret. So that's why it's a mystery to a lot of people outside, but it's not a mystery to them. It's a private secret. Okay? So the reason why I'm explaining the difference between a tradition and a culture is that culture is something that you practice at the moment. It may not be something that you practice tomorrow. So for example, the best way I can explain it is that homosexual marriages are allowed in the United States. That wasn't always a culture. So it's just presently being practiced today. So that's the meaning of culture, because like, yes, let's say a couple of years back, it wasn't the practice. Does it make sense? But a tradition is something that you pass over time. It remains the same. It doesn't change. So that's what's been handed down from generation to generation in Hollywood and many of the spheres of context of world power in which the Vatican holds sway over. So that's just what I wanted to explain before we move into Usher, to give you examples and show you it as an example that these children are taken from a very young age and this are done to them. So let's go. So I'm gonna play this particular video because way back, I think way back, Usher, I had read that her mom sent him to go live with Puff Daddy so he could learn the art of music making and all that. But like I've said before, That doesn't sound right. Which parent sends her own son, who's just barely turned 14, to go live with a stranger just because you want to make him successful? So that makes me to understand that Usher's mom is a handler, that Usher could never have been a son. So I'm going to play this particular video in which you hear Usher explain this, and then they'll ask Usher the question, would you send your own son or daughter to go live with a stranger? And Usher would say, hell no, showing you that her mom was handling him. And then also during on, I'm gonna play a video to show you that the times that Usher tried to marry his so-called first wife, which was Tamika Foster, I believe, that her mom was angry and said that she didn't attend the wedding or whatsoever reasons. She had problems with Tamika Foster. What I'm thinking is that Usher outgrew the mom as a handler, and so somebody else had to be found to handle Usher. And that person happened to be Usher's stylist, who became his wife and then gave birth to two of his sons in Tamika. I think, is it Tamika? I'm not sure if that's the name, but you guys should know who I'm talking about. So I'm thinking that the problem that they had, what the mom had, was that she didn't like Tamika to be a handler of Usher. That was just that. And then now I think Usher is being handled by somebody else who happens also to be his stylist, his current wife. I think her name is Grace Miguel, I don't know. And that's how the story goes. So a lot of these marriages that you see in Hollywood on this, or the popular elite spheres, are actually handlers handling people. They're not like real marriages. Okay, so that's what in my opinion. So I'm gonna play this video on Usher talking about how he was sent to go live with Puff Daddy when he was 14, and then you can actually figure this out on your own and think, would you do this to your own child? Would you do it just because you want your son or daughter to be successful? So you can pause the video at any point in time and copy out the link over there and go look it up, or you want to listen to that particular video, but I'm gonna play it right here so you guys listen. So let's go.
To New York City, and I lived with Sean Puffy Combs for a year.
That's the crazy thing. Now, that was L.A. Reid's idea, right? We're sending you over to something called Puffy Flavor Camp.
There you go.
To learn
Flavor Camp.
Yeah, that's what it was called. And you're going to go to Puff Daddy's. He's going
in the 90s. Do you understand what that's like?
Puffy's place was like just filled with chicks and orgying like nonstop, right?
No, not really. I mean, but hey, it was curious. I got a chance to see some things.
Yeah, but you were 13. What were you seeing?
I went there to see the lifestyle.
Right.
And I saw it. And it was but I don't know if I could indulge and understand what I was even looking at. It was pretty wild.
So nobody tried to, some woman didn't come along.
I didn't say that.
Okay.
I didn't say that. What I did say is that there were very curious things taking place. And I didn't necessarily understand it.
Biggie Smalls was there.
Biggie Smalls was there. Lil' Kim, Craig Mack.
All these people are hanging around.
Yeah, man. Faith Evans. Jodeci, Mary J. Blige, they didn't know nothing about this shit.
Oh.
I was having a good time, you know what I mean?
Does he have you doing any chores? Are you doing dishes at all? I mean, to keep you humble somewhat? Or are you just like, can you stay up till 4 a.m. with them and party?
I mean, I could. I actually stayed up longer than them.
And do you have money? What's going on?
I mean, I had like per diem. I had like,
what
like a living.
Life.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy.
14 years old. You're a dad now. Would you ever send your kid to Puffy Camp?
Hell no.
See?
So I'm gonna later on I'm gonna play a video in which Puff Daddy admitted sleeping with Usher in the same bed. What is a grown man in Puffy doing with a 13-year-old and Usher in the same bed? Well, you guys are going to hear that later on in the video. But for now, like I said before, the question that you need to ask is, which mom or which father, let's just forget about father, which mom sends his own son away to go live with another man for over a year in the name of success? All right? Making you understand that Usher's mom wasn't just a mom. She was a handler. So I'm gonna read some other stuff about Usher so you can see that Usher is now a handler, because according to what we've heard, Usher introduced us to Justin Bieber. They say Justin Bieber, Usher was Justin Bieber's mentor. So I'm going to read that so you can see the Freemasonic symbology and the words of Usher in a particular interview when he turned 36 years old. Remember, the Vatican code of numbers is at work when you hear that. So I'm going to show you all the little symbology on the particular web page. Then I'm going to play a few Usher clips, and then we'll come back, and then we'll play the clip in which it contains about which shows a lot of pedophilia activity going on in the music industry, which will include Lil Wayne, Usher, and Corey Feldman. So let's do that. You can pause the video at any point in time and copy out this website right here, because this website we're reading from, just to see the Freemasonic symbology that's littered everywhere, showing you that Usher was handled by Puff Daddy, and now Usher is a handler, and even though Usher is still being handled by other people. All right, so let me show you that. The story here says, I'm going to read from, it says, during a decade career, Usher 36, all right. The Freemasonic symbology is right there. Has sold over 24 million records in the United States. Also won 8 Grammy Awards with the 2004 Confessions. Scored the top-selling album of the 2000. He acted as Broadway Chicago in 2006. Starred in movies. He will play Sugar Ray Leonard opposite Robert De Niro in the forthcoming Hands of Stone. That is 2014. This article was made. But I want you to understand the symbology that this guy is made. This interview was made when Usher turned 36 years old. Okay? All this, there's a reason why they did that. So let me keep on reading. It says, started movies, he will play like Sugar Ray Leonard opposite report Robert De Niro in the forthcoming Hands of Stone, and coached seasons and NBC's The Voice, winning the second time around. He has profitable perfume line and owns a small piece of the NBA's Cleveland Cavaliers. Just to be clear, last season Usher did not lobby his buddy LeBron James to come home because they would be against NBA rules. He has played the Super Bowl and Michael Jackson's funeral, and discovered Justin Bieber, right? Provided him with the Usher playbook and set him loose upon the world. Now, Justin Bieber is a girl. We've already investigated Justin Bieber on this particular channel. You can actually look for the video on Kyle Lenz and Levi Lusko, and you will get that investigation. But what I want you to notice, he said that he discovered Justin Bieber, provided him with the Usher playbook. A playbook. That's a handler language, and set him loose upon the world. We should be set her loose, because Usher knows that Bieber is a damn girl. So the same thing that he was taught while he was growing up under Puff Daddy, who handled him, and so many other people who have handled him, from his mother to his so-called wives, it's the same thing that Usher did to Justin Bieber. So that's what I'm just trying to show you. Now, if you read on into this page here, it says here, this is the part that I'm going to read this part and then one more part before we move on. It says, Usher lives in Atlanta. It said Usher lives in Atlanta with his sons, Usher 5, age 6. It's very, very particular, the numbers that these people are using in this particular interview. They're trying to show you that at this point in time, Usher has come of age and is now a handler. That's all what this is trying to say. And Navid DL5, he won primary custody of them when he divorced his mother Tamika Foster in 2009 after 2 years of marriage. When he's not with them, he spends most of his time with his manager girlfriend Grace Miguel. That's the girl I was talking about, who at 44 is 8 years older than Usher and has been part of his career for 3 years. Grace Miguel is another handler. So it seems like, because I'm going to play a video in which you see that Usher was outgrowing his mom as a handler. They had to find somebody else for him. Tamika Foster appeared on the scene, but his mom had problems because he didn't like maybe the way she was going to handle him or whatever. That's why they had that problem running for like 8 years. And then Usher moved on, outgrew Tamika Foster. They found another handler in Grace Miguel. So that's why they're giving you all these incredible facts, that Grace Miguel is 8 years older than Usher and has been part of his career for 3 years. All right, so let's read up on something else in here that I want you guys to take notice of before we keep moving. So I'm reading again into this particular article, which I said you can pause the video at any point in time and copy out the link and go read up on, just to show you how it's littered to show you that Usher was handled and is now a handler. So for example, I'm reading here, it says Usher speaks with a honey drawl and he has an easy, thoughtful vibe. He's not exactly modest, tending to refer to himself in the third person. Who says that? Do you refer yourself as a normal talking person? When you talk about yourself, do you refer yourself to yourself in a third person way and manner of speaking? Okay, so that's just what I wanted you guys to know. Then I'm gonna read something else here. You can see he says Usher's first fan was his mom, Jonetta Payton, who raised him with his stepfather Terry Payton and younger half-brother James Lackley in Chattanooga. Sorry, I'm saying that wrong. Chattanooga. Okay, you know where is it? It's Tennessee all the same. I don't know how to pronounce it right. So it says Usher never really knew his father, who died of a heart attack in 2008. Jonetta and Terry eventually divorced. Convinced of his talent, Jonetta moved with her sons to Atlanta, where Usher was discovered and signed by Antonia Ella Reid when he was 14. Now, he keeps on saying here, mentoring is a key part of Usher's identity. It explains Bieber. So I'm trying to show you now that Usher was handled. His mom was his first handler. Because as you can see there right there, he said he was raised by his stepfather and his mom, that Usher never knew his dad. All right. And then he goes on to say here that mentoring is a key part of Usher's identity. It explains Bieber, the appeal to him of the voice and the way he promotes within his organization. One of his choreographers used to be a dancer, for instance. My mom always said, you talk to everybody like they're your kids. He says, I'm sorry. I was born to be a dad. All right. Handling terminology. Now let's read into it a little bit more. It says Usher is realizing there are limits to his influence. That means influence on Bieber here, especially when it comes to Bieber's current behavior. Our relationship is more man to man now, he says. He's making his own decisions and it's important to show support. I can say I'm not happy with all the choices my friend has made, but I'm supportive of him. I try my hardest to give as much positive reinforcement as I can. I'll punch him in the chest when I need to and give him a hug and a kiss when I need to. It's more than just mentoring. I love the kid. It goes on to say Usher's own mentors include a bad boy era Sean Puffy Daddy Combs, his handler, another handler of Usher. So I'm gonna play those short videos that I want you guys to listen to, and then you can make this assertion for yourself if this are like real people, or this is a situation of a master and let's say a teacher and a student, and the student now becomes a teacher later on. So I want you guys to listen very carefully to the words. Listen, pay strict attention to the words of these videos, and then we'll come back and wrap up the Jackie Joyner transvestigation. All right, so stay tuned. The audio was a little bit bad, so I'm gonna play it well. But what I want you to notice when you're watching this particular video from this particular point, in which I'm gonna play the interview in which Usher's mom is talking about the situation that they had when Usher was marrying Tamika Foster, that he wasn't really happy. I want you to pay attention to Usher's behavior and his face when his mom is talking. It doesn't look like, to me, a mother and a son kind of relationship. It looks more like a teacher and a student. And Usher was going to look very, very unhappy during this interview. So pay particular attention to Usher's face. I'm going to try to blow the picture up as much as I can so you guys can hear it. And then when we're done, I'm going to play another clip in which Usher talks. And then we'll play some few other clips here and there before we move on to finishing the transvestigation on Joyner, on Jackie Joyner. All right, so let's go.
How did you feel
recently when you heard that your son, now has primary custody?
I was so excited. I was so excited for him and myself because I know that it's been really hard. You know, it's a lot of pressure. But for him to receive what he fought so hard for, to see him in that space.
I want you guys to know also that Oprah Winfrey is another handler. She's not just somebody you see on TV who's making money off making interviews and all this kind of stuff that make you believe. All these people that you see on TV are actually high degree trained Freemasons or CIA operatives, whatever the name that you want to apply to them. There are handlers, okay? Because they handle situations to make you believe that what you're actually watching is actually real. It's all mind control. The mind control is controlling you. So whatever they're trying to paint the picture, they try to paint the picture to control you, okay? So don't forget that. All these people you see on TV are handlers. So let's keep playing the video.
Was so rewarding.
I remember years ago on a show I did, Dr. Phil said, you can only be as happy as your saddest child, which means that if, of course, if your child is sad, you can't be happy either.
I've been sad for 8 years.
Wow.
I've been really, really sad for 8 years. No one wants to see their child suffer. That was the hardest part. But deep down in my heart, in my soul, I knew he would come back, and I knew he would be okay.
Interesting that you say he would come back, because when you say you've been unhappy for 8 years, that's since the marriage, right?
Yes. Well, not the marriage, just the association.
The courtship, the whole thing.
The whole thing. Yeah, I remember the day I found out.
The affiliation period.
Absolutely. I remember the day so vividly.
Okay, so tell me this. Are you one of those moms who nobody would ever be good enough for your son?
No, absolutely not. And people perceive me as that.
Yeah.
But they're...
He's looking at...
No, I'm serious. I'm serious.
Are you one of those where nobody will ever be good enough?
No. Again, I don't want to...
She has high standards.
Yeah, I do have high standards, but there are women that are good enough for him.
You just didn't believe that his ex-wife was the right person for him.
Right. I didn't.
Tell me now, knowing all that you know and all that you all have been through as a family, do you wish you'd made another choice and had gone to that wedding?
No.
You still don't?
I still don't, no. No, really? I still don't. No, I couldn't, because I knew that we would be in the space that we've been in for the last year. I knew it. And I just couldn't embrace it, and there was never a day that he couldn't call me. There was days that
you don't regret not just sort of being there for him, even though you can say, son, I see you're going down the wrong road, but I'll be standing here at the end of the road when you get to the end.
I just couldn't do it.
You couldn't do it.
I really could not do it, and trust me, I struggled with it.
Okay, so tell me this. I have, as a major character flaw, I'm working on it for myself, that I have a problem that once I tell you something and then it comes into fruition, I had kind of gloat in the I told you so.
I don't.
You don't.
I really don't, and we've had conversations.
That's a good quality to have.
No, we've really had conversations about it. And
so when the marriage started to fall apart, as you believed all along that it would,
I never said I told you so.
Okay, that's good.
But the thing that I've really expressed to him, that if you learned something from this, it's okay.
It's okay. Yeah.
And he has, because
what do you think he's learned? What do you think he's learned?
No, he said to me, and I was so happy when he said this to me, because this is the first time I've even expressed myself. I never would speak. I never ever talked about this until now. And he said to me, he said, I'm sorry. I should have listened. And when he said it, I was like, wow. But he owned it.
So in that particular video, you would hear Usher's mom say that she didn't like the association. Those are the words she used. Association and affiliation that Usher had with Tamika. She didn't say relationship. Okay? So you guys should remember the words. She didn't say relationship or an affair. She said association and affiliation. Those are handling terminologies. All right. Let me play the next video in which Usher talks about what really happens, and you guys listen. I tried as much as possible to make it closed caption so you guys can actually hear what he was saying. So let's go. So when listening to this particular video, please pay special attention to the words in which Usher describes what was happening and why he had to leave his mom. All right? Pay special attention, please, okay? So hear the words of what this man says. These are not just mere words. This is the words of someone who's been abused. All right? Okay, so let's go further.
Incredible experiences, and that came by way of her belief in me and her belief in the fact that I was who I said I was, and I was who We've had some incredible experiences, and that came by way of her belief in me and her belief in the fact that I was who I said I was, and I was who she felt I was. Because it does take a true village to be successful in anything that you do. It's never just one person. No one man is an island. But we began to part our ways when I wanted to expand in other areas that I felt like she wasn't necessarily considerate of. You know, why create this tension when I'm attempting to grow as a man? I think I've spent so many years focusing on being an artist and being recognized as this talent. It ain't about that no more. Now it's about who I am as a man, and I need you to be as supportive of me as a man. There's a lot of love there. And there's a lot of respect there for what her commitment has been and who she is as a woman. We can try to say that we are a product of what happens to us, but we have the responsibility of, you know, steering the car at some point. You know, you're in a car until you take the wheel. And I'm so happy that I was in a car that was going in the right direction. It made me a stronger person. It made me a person who was very clear about what I wanted. And be it right or wrong, it was my story. We both decided that it would be better for us to sever our ties in business. It does bother me at times when I look to my right or my left and she ain't there. You know, because I do miss her at least being in the position of celebrating all of the hard work and time that had been put into this career. I appreciate her for her contribution. I appreciate her for her commitment and her being unwavering about what she felt I deserved, because it actually made me a lot stronger.
So here is what I think actually happens in this case. If you listen to the words of Usher right there, he says that you are a product. He didn't talk about the fact that he sounded like, just like the words, it sounded like it's some sort of like maybe something you pick up from a store. Right? He said that you are a product of what you've become. So what I'm thinking is happening is because, like, the next video I'm gonna play is gonna show you that children, you're gonna hear people like Corey Feldman say that pedophilia is the #1 problem in Hollywood. That means it's the #1 problem in the world. So what happens is that when these young children are taken as children and groomed to be in a certain way, when they try to break free. So Usher, for example, was groomed by a mom, groomed by Puff Daddy, who are both handlers. Trying to break free, they find other handlers to handle them. Usher found himself in the handling graces of Tamika Foster. His mom didn't appreciate as a handler. Over the years, that was a problem, and now Usher is back in the arms of another handler who happens to be Miguel Grace, who was also working with Usher. So I want you guys to notice this on the very next video that I'm going to play, because I told you to pay particular attention to the words on this one. So read the words, pay attention to it. The next video I'm going to play to show you that pedophilia is the #1 problem in this world, which is handled by the Vatican. And all these children, all the people you see on TV are all products of it. just like Usher said here. Okay, so let's go further. So this video is like cuts and pieces of which I show these children who have, you're going to show you clear cases of pedophilia that has been going on. So I apologize for the words and the language that's you're going to be hearing. It is what it is, but I just want you guys to listen, okay? So let's go.
Keep trying to test me. Y'all keep trying to test me. Keep trying to see if I'm under the 5 and shit. But anyway, y'all doing media takeout on World Star and shit. Yeah, Birdman fucked me. He fucked me in the ass for the deal. I'm gonna be real. Birdman fucked me for the deal, man. I suck Birdman dick. Rich Gang. This shit on my motherfucking face. I fuck Rich Gang for. I fuck Bird for the deal. I fuck Bird for the deal. I fuck Bird for the deal.
I started fucking. I got raped when I was 11, Twist. And I loved it. Wait, we all. I got raped when I was 11, Twist. And I loved it. I ain't never pressed charges. I'ma do you like baby them did me. I'ma do you like baby them did me. Yeah. I'll never forget that day. Yeah, no, they was all in the kitchen. I was scared. It was cool. There was about this many niggas and shit too in that bit. I'll never forget the word. Suck la wine la dick. That's how they get that. What did I'ma do you like baby them did me. Yeah. I'll never forget that day. Yeah, no, they was all in the kitchen. I was scared. It was cool. There was about this many niggas and shit too in that bit. I'll never forget the word. Suck la wine la dick. I was sitting on the couch. Everybody in that bit. That nigga was like talking. Girl with your good dick. Girl, you know you suck with your good dick sucking that. Boy, that bitch suck all night.
We want to thank you. Come here. Don't sit on the bed at night. No homo. No, just don't get close to the bed. Don't get close. But it's just like, yo, we want to thank you for hosting the thing, man. It's been a pleasure. You didn't have to do it, and you did it. No. I definitely didn't have to do it. I definitely didn't have to. First and foremost, I'm not getting in the bed. Shout out to him and what he did. I'm just gonna, if we can, let's just put the camera a little this way, just so we're not. I don't want my shot to even. I don't want it to come close to the bed at all. I should look like he fresh off a goddamn plane. I should fresh off the garden stage. That's my brother right here from day one. We used to wake up and, damn, pause, but like just back in the days when he was like 10 and I was a little bit older, his older brother, we used to fight over the Frosted Flakes. You know what I'm saying? Before pause was invented. You know what I'm saying? But it's my brother for real. We used to actually wrestle off of the Frosted Flakes because he used to always get up early with me. Now he's one of the richest stars in the world. And
what the fuck did Puff just say? Nobody's gonna acknowledge this with me. Puff just said we used to wrestle over the Frosted Flakes, and we're streaming live. That was stupid. Listen, that was fucking stupid. Listen,
having a good time. Yo, your Usher made it in the. Hey yo.
Fuck that mic, I'm a thug. At the end of the day, nigga, I kill niggas, man. No, listen, at the end of the day, I kill niggas. Everybody know me, man. Listen, in the streets, did his day this weekend.
Corey Feldman has no idea what it's like not to be famous. He was just 3 years old in this McDonald's commercial.
I literally was famous before I knew my own name.
His roles defined the 80s. Goonies.
This was my dream, my wish.
Stand By Me.
You call my dad a loony again, and I'll kill you.
License to Drive.
The only difference between you and that greaseball is that he has a license and you don't.
Films that propelled him into the spotlight for his entire youth. But being famous so young, he says, caused serious damage to him and his friends.
Do you feel like you missed out on a normal childhood? What childhood? I don't know what that means.
A lost childhood and a loss of innocence. He blames the adults, not just those looking to profit from charming children, but also some with far more sinister motives.
I can tell you that the number one problem in Hollywood was and is and always will be pedophilia. That's the biggest problem for children in this industry.
The casting couch even applies to children.
Oh, yeah. Not in the same way. It's all done under the radar.
Nobody talks about pedophilia.
It's the big secret.
And it's widespread?
Oh, yeah. I was surrounded by them when I was 14 years old. Surrounded. Literally. Didn't even know it. It wasn't until I was old enough to realize what they were and what they wanted and what they were about and the types of people that were surrounding me till I went, oh my God, they were everywhere like vultures.
Vultures who Feldman says abused him and his best friend, the late child actor Corey Haim, his co-star in The Lost Boys.
What happens if my mom is dating the head vampire?
Feldman says the trauma of that pedophilia contributed to Haim's death.
There's one person to blame in the death of Corey Haim, and that person happens to be a Hollywood mogul. And that person needs to be exposed, but unfortunately I can't be the one to do it. But the person that knows who did it and knows who he is watching right now, I guarantee you. Yeah.
Intriguing.
Yeah. There was a circle of older men that surrounded themselves around this group of kids. And they all had either their own power or connections to great power in the entertainment industry.
Feldman won't name names. And he admits his friend had a struggle with addiction, which he says was a mechanism to cope with his demons. It was a symptom.
It was a symptom, correct.
In 2008, the two Coreys confronted each other on their reality show about the dark past they shared.
You let me get around in my life, man. Raped, so to speak. When I was about 14 and a half, and I'm saying this right now. What'd you do, man, when you saw that going down when I was 14 to be? What'd you do? You knew about it.
You want to talk about the truth? Okay, well, then let's talk about the truth. I was being molested at the same time by somebody else. What'd you do? You know, there's a lot of good people in this industry. But there's also a lot of really, really sick, corrupt people in this industry. And there are people in this industry who have gotten away with it for so long that they feel they're above the law. And that's got to change. That's got to stop.
A lot of niggas hate.
So in that particular clip that I played, starting with one of the guys from Young Money, I don't actually know his name, he said that Birdman made him to commit this atrocious acts to be signed to Young Money. And Lil Wayne also narrates the story that he was raped when he was 11, and he can't forget that day. He's not pressing any charges. By who? By Birdman. That's what Lil Wayne was saying right there. Right? And then when we moved on to the next clip of video, you heard Puff Daddy say that he used to sleep in the same bed with Usher Raymond. And then this guy in what's his name, Kevin Hart, heard that, and Kevin Hart is trying to mind control you because Kevin Hart is also a handler. He changed the topic. He said that Puff Daddy is talking about Frosted Flakes, when the first statement Puff Daddy was saying was he used to be in the same bed with Usher when he was young. Can you see how these guys play you? Then when we move on to Corey Feldman right here, Corey Feldman narrates and says that the biggest problem in Hollywood is and still remains pedophilia. And people are just going to hear that and think it's a joke. And it's funny because when you watch this particular interview, you actually think that Corey Feldman is being used. Because from the clothes he's wearing, because he's wearing like some sort of let's say he's wearing a white and red dress right here. This is all symbolic. It means something. And the guy who's going to make the interview is going to say nobody talks about pedophilia. This guy is a handler. He's not just saying nobody talks about pedophilia. He is making a statement to Corey Feldman that we don't talk about pedophilia. He's not just telling or reiterating what Corey Feldman was saying. He's making a statement. He's handling the situation. So Corey Feldman wearing this clothes here, which is white and red, is symbolic in a Vatican code. And let me just show you that. Now you can pause the video at any point in time and copy out the link right here and go read up on the Vatican color codes that it has symbology. Now Corey Feldman on that particular video that I showed you guys, in this video right here, he's wearing white and red for a reason. White and red for a reason. And let me show you what it means. All right. It says here in the Vatican code of colors, it means the color of blood. Red is the color of blood and therefore of martyrdom. So that means Corey Feldman here was sent out as a martyr. What is a martyr? A martyr is somebody who dies for others. So he's sent out here to be murdered or whatsoever to represent others. All right. So what you see is that you're going to see Corey Feldman telling you the story about, pedophilia and covering up for the others. That's all what it was. These guys are playing mind tricks. So if Corey Feldman says that pedophilia is the #1 problem in Hollywood, that means it's the #1 problem in the world, because the Vatican is taking young children. Because Corey Feldman, or if you heard the video, you could pause the video at any point in time and repeat that part in which he said that he was even popular before he knew how to say his own name. So that it means they are taken very, very young. They are either transgendered for whatever produce or product that the Vatican deems fit, just like Usher said that he's a product. He's a product of whatever he's become, of his own experiences. And then they could be transgendered for whatever reason. They're trained. So that's why, for example, in Harvey Weinstein case, you can see how these people were programmed to speak up, to keep quiet and speak, because they've gone through all this training from a young age by these grown men, just like Corey Feldman says here, were treating young children. So people, this is very, very real. This is happening now, even as I'm speaking, and I'm trying to show you the facts. So that's what I wanted to show you with you guys, and let's move on and finish up with the Jackie Joyner video with the transvestigation so we can wrap up this video. I'm sorry it was a long video, but I just have to show you so you guys can see. All right, so let's go. So we stopped here on Jackie Joyner. Let's move on to the next picture. As you can see right here, the hips of Jackie Joyner. All right, the widest point is above the crotch. That's where her Q angle, or his Q angle starts. Let's call it right. Q angle starts above the crotch, and Jackie Joyner still has a straight back. Next picture. Jackie Joyner again, as you can see, the straight back of a male. The hips right there, the widest point is above the crotch. And look at where Jackie Joyner puts his hands on, or her hands on, as we'll call it a her. But it's actually he. Let's just call it he. The comfort zone is below the navel, which is a man's comfort zone. Jackie Joyner is 100% male and was never female. That's why he won so many sports. You can see how wide the shoulders are sticking outside the torso of the body. And this is her handler, her husband, I think Bob Kersee or whatever he is. All right, let's go. Another picture. Jackie Joyner again, straight back of a male, straight into the pelvis. Widest point right there. The Q angle starts above the crotch. This is the crotch. Above the crotch. Is not below like a female. Above. Straight back of a male. Jackie Joyner, 100% man. Let's move further. Jackie Joyner again. As you can see, the widest point sticking out right there is above the crotch. Above the crotch. The back is still straight. Jackie Joyner, 100% man. It's not a woman. All right. Another picture. Jackie Joyner again. Clear as night and day. Where is the Q angle starting? Above the crotch. Above the crotch. The Q angle starts. The widest point as it begins to taper. It's above the crotch. That's the crotch. Above it. His back is still straight because Jackie Joyner is a man. Another picture. Like Jackie Joyner again. Can you see that? This is a straight back of a man. Straight into the pelvis. I already showed you how a female looks if she's actually female and a female athlete. Jackie Joyner is not one of them. This is the straight back of a man. Nothing more. Jackie Joyner is 100% man. Another picture. Look at that. Straight back. Straight into the pelvis. There is no arch in the back. Straight into the pelvis. Jackie Joyner is man. And look at where he's turning from. He's turning from here because that's his waist. Jackie Joyner was 100% man, masquerading as a woman. Let's go. Another picture. Jackie Joyner again. If a woman raises her hand this way, you're going to see that deep arch in the back. But in Jackie Joyner's case, you can't see it because Jackie Joyner is male. There is no arch in the back. It's a straight back, straight into the pelvis. Can you see? And the widest point, even when the butt sticks out, you can still see it's above the crotch. The widest point right there is above the crotch because Jackie Joyner is 100% man. Is masquerading and told to us by the Vatican he was female. Another picture. Straight back into the pelvis. There's no denying. That's the arch. The widest point is above it, above the crotch. Look at where it starts to taper. The Q angle is above the crotch because Jackie Joyner is 100% man. Another picture. Jackie Joyner again. Straight back into the pelvis. Widest point above the crotch. 100% man, no female. Another picture. Jackie Joyner that's being kissed by his coach, Bob Kersee, which happens to be his handler, his husband or so, whatever the case might be. Jackie Joyner again, straight back, shaped like a P. There is no arch in the back, straight into the pelvis. Jackie Joyner, 100% man. Another picture, Jackie Joyner, straight back, widest point, above the crotch, not below it like a female. Jackie Joyner is 100% man. Another picture, straight back, widest point above the crotch. See where it's sticking out right there? Above the crotch because Jackie Joyner is 100% man, no female. Look at that again. Straight back, shaped like a P. There is no arch, straight into the back. Let me blow this up so you guys can see. Straight into the back. There is no arch, straight, shaped like a P. Straight into the back. Jackie Joyner, 100% man, no woman. Jackie Joyner again, straight back into the pelvis. No arch in the back, straight into the pelvis. Jackie Joyner, 100% man, masquerading as a female. See that again? I already showed you this. Straight back into the pelvis. Look at that. Straight back into the pelvis. Widest point above the crotch. Jackie Joyner, 100% man. All right. Look at that again. Look at where the Q angle starts. See that? Very clear as night and day. Q angle is above the crotch where the Q angle starts. Widest point above the crotch, not below it like a female, above, because Jackie Joyner, 100% man, masquerading as a female. Look at that again. Straight back into the pelvis. The widest point sticking out above the crotch. Clear as night and day. Sticking out above the crotch right there. See that? Straight back. There's no arch. Straight back into the pelvis. Jackie Joyner, 100% man, masquerading as a female. All right. Another picture. Straight back again. There is no denying you're looking at a dude who's been masquerading as a female. Look at that. Straight back, no arch in the back, masquerading as a female when he's actually a dude. Jackie Joyner, 100% man. Another picture. This is Jackie Joyner with who? Neo. Did Neo ever tell you that he was palling around with a dude? No. That's why you can't trust anybody you see on TV. They are all a bunch of deceiving liars. You can see the clear difference in the hips between the hips of a man and the hips of a woman in this picture. Let's go. Look at that. Jackie Joyner with Carl Lewis and Michael Johnson. They never told you that this is another man. 3 dudes here. So you can't make any role models of people you see on TV. They are all liars and deceivers because they should have told you that Jackie Joyner is a transgender woman and is not a woman. Oh, goodness gracious. Another picture. Jackie Joyner right there. Straight back of a man shaped like a P. No arch. Straight into the pelvis because Jackie Joyner is 100% man. Look at that again. Widest point above the crotch. Above the crotch. They've given it some more estrogen to make it look feminine and probably some butt implants. But you can't change the skeletal structure. Once a man, always a man. Another picture. Jackie Joyner with Bobby Kersee right here. He should have told you, because I believe this is her handler, or his handler, that this is 100% man, no female. 2 men right there. Jackie Joyner with Evander Holyfield. Evander Holyfield, he didn't even tell you the truth. That this is a man been palling around, and they know it because once you're in the presence of these people, you would recognize there's something off, that these are men masquerading as female, but he never told you. Evander Holyfield. That's why you can never make any role models of people you see on TV. They are all lies. All right, Jackie Joyner again, straight back, straight everywhere, because this is a man, straight into the pelvis, no arch, 100% man. Jackie Joyner, even on a weirdest commercial. Look at that. These are the role models the Vatican wants you to believe, even in your Wheatie boxes. Oh, goodness gracious. And your kid's going to look at this and say, oh, I want to be like Jackie Joyner. Oh, goodness gracious. Straight back still, 100% man. All right, Jackie Joyner again. And these are 3 men. Remember this Ali Raisman? And this is the guy, don't forget, Michael Phelps, I think. Michael Phelps, Ali Raisman. All 3 men. We have a video on Ali Raisman. You can look it up also. These are 3 dudes. You should never make no role models of anybody you see on TV. Jackie Joyner, with who? With Michael Obama. Yes, I said Michael Obama. We have a video on Michael Obama as well. People call her Michelle Obama. We'll call it Michael. These are 3 dudes right here. I don't know who this is, but these are 3 dudes. All right. They never told you that Jackie Joyner was transgendered. All right. And here's Jackie Joyner on Fox News. Fox News tells you all the lies. They never told you that Jackie Joyner was transgendered. How can you believe a word they say next time? Okay, I've come to the end of today's video. I'm sorry it was a long video, but I hope you learned something. If you learned something, subscribe. And as usual, stick to the facts. Do not be carried away by the emotions. Don't judge things by your emotions. TV is making you emotional. The news is making you emotional. You don't learn anything from it, because just like I read from the Protocols of Zion, it's just to move and sway you. It has no truth in it. So stick to the facts. And I leave you with these words. If you learned something, subscribe and stay tuned. I leave you with saying this. Look with your eyes, but see with your brain. Thanks and bye-bye.